Okay, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So some of you, well, don't know if you didn't get the notice that we apparently seem to still have some email problems, so not sure how to fix that. I tried some alternatives. Anyway, so it's good to see you all. Again, as we start with most of our meetings, want to thank our sponsors, CareFirst Health Plan Arizona, the Satellite Broadcasters Association, Valley of the Sun United Way, Khajiit, and Triad Wireless. So once again, I'm making a plea. If any of you are interested, we'd love to have you as a sponsor. Again, I want to remind you that if you want to connect with our colleagues outside of this meeting, that we do have a participant list available online, and we encourage you to fill out our Google form so that we make sure that you are on the list and that we have your contact information. So today, although we have a couple of things to discuss this morning, but the plan is, instead of having a presentation, as you know, we've done on occasion where you are the presenters. And so if we have the time, I'm going to ask some of you, or you can volunteer to just take 2 minutes to tell us about who you are, what you do, and how people can connect with you. So that's going to be our plan for later today instead of our usual presentation. And again, reminder that we do our kibitzing with colleagues after this meeting. For those of you who don't know what kibitzing is, that we meet after this meeting, after the formal meeting is over, that anybody who wants to stay online and wants to kibitz, get to know others, share information, ask questions or whatever, that it's kind of an open mic for you to be able to do that. We may have 5 people, we may have 15 people, may last 10 minutes, or it may last an hour. So again, encourage you to join us for that. Moving on. So I want to jump into it because I have a number of things to talk about this morning. First of all, do we have any new people? I haven't looked at the list yet. Do we have any new people joining us this morning? Not hearing anybody. I'll be moving on. So meeting schedule. So we're meeting, of course, today, the 9th, the 16th, and the 23rd. No meeting on Memorial Day, May the 30th. However, we've been talking about having a networking event, and so I'm thinking that would be a good week for us to do that, so we don't end up with 2 meetings on the same week. So I'm looking at May 25, 26, or 27, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, for us to do our after-hours networking event. Is that an issue for anybody? Is there anything in particular on any of those dates that anybody is aware of?
Mark, personal issue on the Wednesday the 1st, but don't schedule around me, whatever your consensus seems to be.
Okay. Anything else?
Steve, that goes, sorry, really quickly, that goes the same for me. I'm actually out of the country that whole week.
Okay.
But again, do not hold back or limit the schedule because of me. But
Okay.
I still want to extend the offer to have the Arizona Technology Council support you for that networking event, but I won't be here.
Okay, thanks. Karen, were you going to say something?
Yeah, Steve, I'm sorry. I will not be available either.
Anytime that week?
No, and I'm sorry, we didn't have a chance to connect last week, so maybe after this call we can connect and I can update you.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Okay, so that may or may not be a good week to do this then. So I'll think about another game plan. So moving on, a couple of things, and I guess we can cover this also at our meeting, at our updates, but Sophia, are you online? Mylan? I know Kelly can't be here this morning, about the ADE technology town halls.
Yes, I'm here, Steve. Sophia's
Yeah.
here.
Do you want to talk about that briefly?
Yeah, so our new Office of Digital Teaching and Learning are hosting town halls on the second Mondays of the month. They're really to give everyone an opportunity, not just to talk to us, but to share with each other different best practices and to get updates from the Office of Digital Teaching and Learning. The information is perfect and clear on the screen here, so I certainly won't get into those details. But if you have any questions or need anything that's not on the screen, feel free to shoot me an email.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on. So I don't think he's online this morning. I didn't get a chance to check. No, don't think so. So we've had some discussions about the need for us to begin to address the issue of cybersecurity. And so last week I had a great conversation with Ryan Murray, thanks to Kelly, who of course is not on this call this morning, who made for the introduction, but had a great conversation with Ryan Murray, the Deputy Director and Deputy State Chief Information Officer from the Arizona Department of Homeland Security. Many of you may know that the governor has created the Cyber Command Center in Arizona, with the focus primarily at this point, focusing on state agencies and government entities. But I had a great conversation with Ryan about the need for us to address as we're going about connecting all these people, giving out all these devices, providing internet, that we really need to address the issue of cybersecurity. So again, I had a great conversation with Ryan. He is going to be joining our task force, and he is going to do a presentation discussion with us next week. He's out of town today and couldn't be with us today. But I think this is, as we know, that this has now become a very important issue. And so it will be, for me, a start for us about how do we proceed with addressing the issue of cybersecurity on a more extended basis. So he was very excited about what we're doing. I had a conversation, some of you may remember many years ago that I actually led the development of an Arizona Cybersecurity Alliance. And he was very interested in that. Actually, he was thinking that we should create an Arizona Cybersecurity Alliance. So I started digging up a bunch of the old information about that effort, and we'll be talking more with him. And again, I think that meeting next Monday will be the beginning of a discussion for us of how do we go about addressing this issue of cybersecurity. So that's very exciting that he was very interested. And I believe, and actually, as I mentioned, that Kelly introduced me to him, and they already have some initiatives going on with the Arizona Department of Education. And so we'll be able to hear about all that also next week. Any questions or thoughts about that before I move on? Okay. So
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, Rory.
The FBI has a group that reaches out, that works with businesses and is open to schools and any other groups in this particular area. It's a civilian group, and the name escapes me. I'm actually trying to look it up again. I used to be part of it years ago, but might be interesting to reach out to them, or I can reach out to them and have them contact us as to what their resources are.
Yeah, I'm actually a member of that FBI organization, and definitely want to connect with them also, Roy.
What's the name of it, Steve? I apologize.
I've got a blank too. Jerry, are you online? Jerry's not here today. It'll come back.
I am, Steve. I don't know the name of that organization either.
What's the FBI organization, Jerry?
I cannot remember.
Infraguard.
Infraguard. There you go.
Oh, that's not, Infraguard. Yes, of course. Thanks, Mark.
I haven't logged in a while, but that's another good resource to have.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of a good resource, as Jerry is online here, is that Jerry has been involved with cybersecurity and many of those organizations for many, many years. So we're certainly going to tap Jerry's contacts and expertise as we move ahead with this. One of the things I am going to be looking for is a couple of people who want to kind of take a lead. For those of you who were with us early on with the task force, you know that we had a couple of folks with each of our breakout groups that took a lead in organizing and coordinating those meetings. So if any of you are interested or know somebody that we should tap, please let me know. There may be some potential, and I want to emphasize maybe, of some potential funding through Homeland Security. But my conversations with Brian, that we would not be eligible for that funding. It has to go through some state entity. And so, but that's not an issue that we can't surmount. So anyway, I think it's a great opportunity. It finally gets us moving ahead with addressing the whole issue of cybersecurity. So I'm very excited about that. Next thing is that the university, I'm sorry, Mala, were you going to say something?
No.
Okay, so the next thing is that the University of Arizona has received $6 million for their Arizona Cyber Operations Program. Basically is a training program for students. I have reached out, have not been able to connect yet with both the dean of the college as well as the director of that program. But I am hoping that we can also collaborate with them. And I do know that we could be online here for hours talking about all the other kinds of cybersecurity initiatives that are going on here in the state. But I think that that's going to be part of our effort, is to identify those different resources and how do we all collaborate together. So
And Steve, really the most active current group is probably Frank Grimmelman's ACTRA, Arizona Cybersecurity Alliance.
Yeah. So, so anyway, I'm sorry, somebody gonna say something?
I was just saying that Frank Grimmelman.
No, I heard that, Mark. I thought
okay.
somebody else was gonna say something. And so the last thing about cybersecurity for today, and Carla, maybe you want to talk about this, is that the Tech Council is having their, along with the Commerce Authority and ACTRA, what Mark was just mentioning, is having a cybersecurity summit on May the 12th. Carla, do you want to say anything about that?
Yes, absolutely. Is my mic on? Give me a second. I'm sorry. Yes, okay. Yeah, so on, as Steve mentioned, the Arizona Technology Council holds the annual Cybersecurity Summit. I'm actually super excited about this year because we had to expand the time frame on it because there were so many presentations and so many people that wanted to be involved in it. It is scheduled to take place in Phoenix. I'll send the link in the chat in just a minute. And it will start, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes. It will be at the venue 8600 and it will start at 10:30 a.m. and it will end about 3:30 p.m. We have, I believe, over 12 presenters. I'm trying to think, sorry.
That's all right, sorry, Carla, we'll send out the link. Actually, I sent the link, but I'll resend the link also.
Okay, I will do so. Sorry, you caught me off guard, but I'm glad you're having that conversation. And offline, Steve, I actually want to talk to you about first of all, helping you connect to the dean. And second of all, helping and maybe including in this meeting or this conversation, the president and CEO of AC Cyber Initiative, which is a nonprofit that just recently received a grant as well to create boot camps, cybersecurity boot camps for students in Pima and Santa Cruz County. And
Okay.
I've been working with them offline and they're doing a fantastic job as well.
Okay. So I just want to say, Carla, you and I can talk about this offline. That as that summit evolves here, and Mark, I don't know if you're planning to attend, or Jerry or anybody else, that it would be great to connect with people and talk to them about the task force and our interest in cybersecurity.
I will certainly be attending. I've already registered for that conference, yes.
Okay, so let's
And I
talk
think-
some more, Jerry, about that and, you know, how I don't think I'm going to be up there, but
Yeah,
actually,
Carla, that remains a on-site, not hybrid meeting, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that we had considered doing it hybrid, but there's so many presentations and so much going on that we really feel that it's the best experience to be there in person. So unfortunately, this is the one time we're not going to do a hybrid.
actually, I was just realizing May the 12th, I will be in Phoenix. My son is graduating from ASU that day. And-
Congratulations.
So we're planning to be up there. We're going to come up on that day, but maybe I'll look at changing my plans. Anyway, I'll be back in touch about that. Okay.
Perfect. Sounds good.
So let's talk offline, Carla, about that.
Sounds good.
Okay, so moving on, let's get into our updates. I didn't see Jeff. Are you online this morning? I don't think he's here this morning. Sandip, do you have anything that you'd like to share, you know, since Jeff is not here this morning? First of all, how's Jeff doing?
Jeff is doing fine. He's joining probably from tomorrow or today. I'm not sure, but you know, it's a hard time for him, and I'm sure he will be okay soon. But he's still recovering from.
So I think you all know from hopefully from my notes that Jeff's father died a little over a week ago. And so if you haven't sent your condolences, you're more than welcome to do so. I'm sorry, Sandip. So do you have anything that you want to update at this point?
Nothing. It's nothing special. It's we're reviewing the applications, the grant application 81 we have received. Right now, going through some technical specs and some socioeconomic spec using our knowledge base. Our evaluators are meeting every single week, and we are taking it step by step. And our target deadline here is like sometime around June. Still we are working on it based on our evaluators. They're all volunteers based on their time. That's pretty much all I have right now.
Okay, thanks. Any questions for Sandip before we move on?
Steve, this is Ian. May I add one
Sure.
piece to Sandip's update is in that ADBG grant, Terry Ormond did send out on, I believe, Friday to all the applicants an opportunity for them to go in and look at the areas that have been proposed. And so it should be public, open to the public to go in and look at the areas that have been proposed and then provide comment if there's in those areas.
Okay,
That's a small window, and that I believe closes, I think it's either Tuesday or Wednesday. It was just a small window for replies. So it's a public.
okay. So Sandip, do you want to say anything more about that? About people reviewing and commenting or not?
I completely agree. What Ian mentioned, I think, yeah, people has a window. I'm not, Terry actually came up with that plan. I was not directly involved with that thing on that day, a little bit busy with some other stuff. So I would definitely encourage people to go ahead and, you know, feel free to comment. Then it will definitely help our evaluator to figure out which area we should focus more specifically on, especially the counties, the rural counties.
Okay, thank you. So if you guys can send me a link, I will include that in my notice, my follow-up to the meeting.
Steve, this is Karen.
Yeah, Karen.
Hi, I'm not sure if you can answer this, but the way I read that email from Terry was that the comments and feedback were from carriers on proposed distribution in their area. So
Okay.
I don't know if the intent was for everyone to have the ability to comment. So I'm not sure if you know, you open that up like that, you're going to get bombarded, but that's the way I understood it. I could be wrong.
Karen, I was under the impression it's for everyone, but as I said, I was not involved with that process on that day. Let me reach out to her and probably I will be able to provide a feedback on that.
Great, thanks, Sandip. That was perfect. Okay, moving on. Mala, you're up.
Hi, E-rate, we had 2 waves of funding that had been announced. Almost $25 million have been approved. We had applied, Arizona had applied close to 120 million. So this is almost 1/5 of what we applied for, just within the first 2 waves that were released. I put in the chat a link to a SurveyMonkey link that Funds for Learning is conducting. This is their 12th national survey of E-rate applicants, both schools and libraries, and they will aggregate the results and present it to the members of Congress. It is really worth doing this survey because they listen to Funds for Learning's comments and pay attention to it. So please encourage schools and libraries to apply. I will do my bit, of course, and whoever can assist in making sure that the survey is done, that would be great. Again, it is totally anonymous. The data is aggregated and presented. The results are presented. So no names, no institutions will be recognized in the results. This week has been a week of ups and downs. There's been a lot going on. I mentioned last time about the OMB coming up with the Build America, Buy America guidance. There's been a lot of voices about concerns in this region. I will put the link again in the chat after I'm done talking. But what it means is that more than 55% of the cost of the components that are being used in any federal project, whether it is the IIJA grant or anything where there is money coming in from the federal government, should be made in the USA. It should be assembled in the USA. There should be a certification that all manufacturing processes for construction material should, at 55% of them, should be made in the USA. So this is kind of a little alarming because there's not much time that has been given to make this happen. May 14th. From May 14th, this compliance will come into effect. So any grants, any funds applied for after May 14th will have to comply with this act, whether it is, again, the IIJA money or any other money. So again, this is raised red flags and lots of discussion on our listservs about this. Waivers are possible, but waivers should be done on a case-by-case basis, and there are guidelines on how to apply for the waivers, which is again going to cause delays. So that's why those alarm bells are going off.
Mala, let me just mention that Mark had actually, I think, put that in the chat a week or 2 ago, and I did include it in our previous email, and maybe I need to send it again.
Yes, it is. It's important enough for you to send it again, and I'll put it in the chat. Thanks, Mark. Yes, I know he did it last call because that was around the time when it was announced. So yes, looking forward to more discussions on this later, and maybe in many of the listservs that I subscribe to. ACP, we had a slowdown on, ACP, we had a slowdown this last week. We had only about 2,000 sign up, household sign up. Normally our average is between 4,000 and 5,000. It could be, probably there could be plenty of causes, but it could be because it is exam week and AZ Merit Week and things like that. Parents are focusing more on that than on trying to get themselves internet. I don't know. There could be plenty of reasons, but I have no idea. Again, if you would like to push this, there is a resource toolkit on the ACP, on Connect Arizona website, connect-arizona.com/ACP. Again, we'll put it in the chat. I think Cindy included it in her chat, in the chat last time, but it's still there, and it's a really good site. Please download if you need to. Spanish, English, both are available. The Emergency Connectivity Fund, the third window opened this last week, April 28th. It runs up to May 13th. During this application window, eligible schools, libraries are eligible to apply for devices as well as hotspots. Mylan, I think, did a training to launch it for Arizona schools. Again, unfortunately, libraries are not very keen on applying for this as much as schools are because of all the strings attached to getting that off the ground. Telehealth, I just want to say we're making great progress. It's not ready for prime time yet, but there is a lot of testing going on behind the scenes of the transmission of signals from the stethoscope to the service provider, making sure that HIPAA rules are followed, nothing is kept saved on the system as it is transmitted. All of those testings have successfully happened during the last week, so we're very excited about it. We are planning a soft launch in June. It's not going to be a big, a big launch. The big event we've pushed to September for various reasons. I won't go into the details, but we're planning to do that before the end of the LSDA year because this has been funded by the LSDA grant. But we're going to do a soft launch before that. And we're working on all of the details for it. I have one last thing to say, and that is NDIA has announced that they are accepting letters of intent for the National Digital Navigator Core. I think we'll put I think Nicole, will you put the link for that in the chat, please? And this is to demonstrate a need for the Digital Navigator project in a proposed community and capacity building for digital navigators. It is only a letter of intent right now, and it will be, the LOIs will be accepted between April 29th and May 20th. And the grant itself will launch in June.
Mala, and maybe Nicole wants to address this. I'm sure she's aware of this, and or Cindy, that I believe that they're only going to fund 20, 25 projects. Am I off base on that?
It's more like 10.
10?
Mhm.
Okay. So it's going to be very competitive, huh?
Right. Back to you, Steve, unless they have any questions for me.
Okay. So Holly, I don't know if you're online, and then Nicole will get to you with you and Cindy on digital inclusion updates. Holly, are you there? Doesn't look like she's here today.
Yeah, I didn't see Holly in there.
Okay. So moving on to digital inclusion updates, Cindy and Nicole. Are you there?
Yeah, I'll go. Okay. We canceled the digital inclusion lunch meeting for this week. We'll resume again on May 19th, and we'll have an update at that point. I received from the NDIA, I received the Net Inclusion conference videos. There are a bunch of really good topics that they recorded on, so I will list those out and put that link in the chat. There's a lot of good information there. The Pima County Strategic Planning Task Force is our committee of that, the Digital Inclusion Committee, is going to try to hold 3 community listening type events to hear from people all around Pima County what barriers to inclusion they are experiencing, both in rural and metro areas. So we have that planning underway. That's kind of exciting. We've been listening to a lot to the organizations who work with people, but not from people themselves. So that'll be a really good addition to our database. The BEAD and DEA updates. The NTIA is scheduled to issue the BEAD grant NOFO on May 16th. BEAD is the $42.45 billion program to deploy infrastructure to and underserved areas, anchor institutions, provide affordable devices, install and provide Wi-Fi for multifamily residential buildings, mapping and planning and other projects determined by the NTIA. The Digital Equity Act NOFO will be issued shortly thereafter. So between now and the end of June, and states have 60 days to apply for planning grant funding to develop their digital equity state plans. I'm also going to put in the chat, there's a digital inclusion guide for states that was put out by the National Digital Inclusion Alliance, NDIA. And this guide strongly suggests that the BEAD and DEA, Digital Equity Act, that these 2 programs be considered closely in tandem, and that digital inclusion and adoption efforts be interwoven with any broadband deployment planning. And I really love that they're strongly urging that. We shouldn't be developing those 2 separate things or looking at those 2 separate things as 2 separate things. They should all be combined in how we fit up the state for actually adopting broadband, not just providing it. So I think that's really key, and I will put the copy of that in the chat as well. And I think that's all for me, Steve.
Okay. Nicole, you have anything that you'd like to add?
Just to add to that, Cindy's right. The NOFO for the big BEAD funding is due by May 16th. Possible will even, happen before, but that's their legislative deadline. But that is also the deadline for the $1 billion middle mile program from the NTIA as well. And I have posted about that digital inclusion. Is that the coalition guidebook, Cindy?
No, this is an entirely different thing. It's the digital inclusion guide for states as we start to develop, digital equity plans and whatnot. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'm putting that in there right now.
Is that the one, Cindy, do you know, that I included in the newsletter last time
I don't recall.
for this week?
I don't.
I had posted about what was called the New Digital Inclusion Coalition Guidebook,
This is
Steve,
different.
and that's probably what you.
Yes, I did, Mark, whatever you've posted. Okay,
But this sounds like a complementary resource.
It's very specific to the BEAD and the digital equity plan.
Great.
Yep. There you go.
okay. Anything else? Nicole, you have anything you'd like to add?
Nope. Thanks, Cindy.
Okay. Moving on, I don't think Janet's online this morning.
Nope.
So Sophia, and I don't think Mylan, and I know Kelly had a conflict this morning. Sophia, do you have anything else that you want to report regarding the department?
I don't think so, but I'm happy to answer questions if anyone has one.
Okay. Any questions for Sophia? All right, moving on. I don't believe Lee is online. And I don't know, Derek, are you here this morning? I don't think I saw him either. Okay. And so Rory, you want to give us an update on Final Mile, since looks like Wes and Mylan aren't here today.
Yeah, Final Mile closed, or we issued awards for 4 more locations. I'm not sure if they covered that last week. I wasn't here. We won two of them, St. John's and I gotta go back and look, but and then ComNet won one of the areas, and then another company which I've never heard of, apparently it's a new company called ScaryCom, won the fourth one. So we're just checking on our fiber availability. So 10 seconds after fiber is available in St. John's, our guys will be rolling in there to start that project. We're evaluating the other one. We sent teams up to St. John's over the weekend to check the area again. And we'll have more guys out in the other town this week, probably about midweek. So we've completed Pima. That's towers fully operational. Users are online. I think we're still taking orders for those, but it's moving pretty quick.
Okay. Any other questions for Rory? Going once, going twice? Okay. So it looks like we're done with our presentations. Any questions about what you heard this morning? If not, let's get to our sharing this morning. Though some of you have participated in this in the past, but the intent is that we want to provide opportunities and to have change up our meetings on occasion. And so we've on occasion have, instead of having a presentation, that we've provided people who are on this call to have a couple minutes to tell people who you are and what you do, and if you're looking for something, you need some help or something that you want to share, now is the time to do that. So you can volunteer, or else I will volunteer you. And, you know, again, we're not looking for PowerPoint presentations or anything like that, just informal kinds of presentations. So anybody want to volunteer?
Steve, I'll go first.
Okay, Carla.
And I actually just put, I'm trying to put on the chat the link to the events coming up with the Arizona Technology Council. But for those of you that I have not had the pleasure of meeting yet, I'm Carla Morales. I'm the Vice President of the Arizona Technology Council here in Southern Arizona. So if you don't know who we are a trade association that helps support and grow and create strategic and business development connections for science and technology companies. What I wanted to share with you all is we have so many events coming up that I think would be a great opportunity for this group. We have a great partnership with community leaders associated with really any area in the area of STEM. This week we will be at JTED, and I know in reference to cybersecurity and oh my gosh, I cannot think of the word I'm thinking right now. Digital access, my gosh. In regards to digital access, I think that's a very prevalent conversation to have with them when we talk about the people that we are trying to serve, whether it be the or underrepresented communities. The JTED community is one of them. So we will be having an after 5 mixer there this week. And then there's several other events that we have coming up that it would be of great interest to you all. We have mentioned the Cybersecurity Summit in Scottsdale. And then we will also have an International Day of Light celebration on May 15th at Flounder at the U of A. So I encourage you all to participate in these events. They are free of charge for our members and low cost for anybody that's not a member. But if you do want to attend and you're not a member, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to have you join me as my guest.
Great. And Carla, I will see you at JTAD next week.
Perfect. That's fantastic.
The tree guy from last week is here.
Okay.
Should I tell him to go away?
Yes, just tell them we can't talk right now. Sorry about that. So any questions for Carla? Well, many of us who are on this call are great partners with the Tech Council, Mark and Kirk and many others. So as Carla mentioned, they have tons of great events. And you are, Carla, maybe you can just tell people that they are welcome to sign up for your email list and get notices of all the events that are happening.
Yeah, absolutely. What I'll do is I'll put the sign up to contact us to include you into the newsletter and the information to receive our emails
on the chat, so feel free to register for that as well.
Yeah, they, every Monday morning, we get notices from them about upcoming events, both in Phoenix and Tucson. Okay, so moving on. Amy, if I can put you on the spot, do you want to just tell us a little bit? I believe you're with Khajiit, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. Thank you. So I am Amy Purdy. I am a business development executive with Khajiit. For those of you that are not familiar with Khajiit, Khajiit is a wireless network operator that delivers a secure and controlled internet access to a variety of businesses. So we work with mostly school districts, but we also work with hospitals and different government agencies. We're consider ourselves a managed IoT connectivity service provider because we offer the connectivity with our Sentinel platform. So we're able to provide a secure, reliable, and controlled wireless experience. We provide the foundation for a secure, efficient, and flexible connectivity with wireless networks. And then we give you a full turnkey solution. So we give you the network connectivity, the software, the hardware, and then the data-driven insights that will help you improve your organization's outcomes that you're looking to achieve.
Great,
And that
thanks,
is-
Amy. And we appreciate your sponsorship. Any questions for Amy? Okay, so moving on, Brian, can I put you on the spot? Brian Daly, particularly, I think people would be interested in the national work that you're engaged with. Brian, are you there? Okay, looks like he's not available at the moment. Let's see, anybody else want to step up, or do I have to volunteer somebody?
You have Ben in the chat said he would like to go.
Okay, Ben.
Hey, thanks so much, everyone. I'm Ben Blink. I'm the principal of Blink Public Policy. Up until the end of last year, I was Governor Ducey's policy advisor for transportation and technology innovation. So along with Karen Ziegler and others, was part of the team that hired Jeff Sabatka, worked on legislation to open up the state transportation rights of way for broadband development, and helped develop the initial broadband grant and the subsequent grant that we are in the middle of the process of right now. Since leaving the governor's office, my work is really focused on helping companies and nonprofits develop strategic guidance and pitches to state and local government about how to use American Rescue Plan and Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act programming. So I've been really eager to help develop that and sell that to state and local governments, which has been really fun. This is definitely going to be shifting more towards the Infrastructure Investments and Jobs Act, as a lot of those programs are being developed, mostly on the strategy side, not so much on the actual grant writing side, but have been doing a bit of local government affairs on digital equity as well. So space that I have some experience in, and certainly eager to be in touch with many of you and help, either on a formal or certainly eager to help on an informal basis too, about interacting with state governments and especially Republican units of government as well. So happy to help in any way I can.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Any questions for Ben? He's been in this game for a long time.
No, but I have a comment.
Hey, Kirk.
Ben, the work you've done is absolutely amazing. At the end of the day, and we're seeing a lot of that fruit now. Everything from APS playing nice now in the fiber business, and ADOT and Nikola and our entire electric vehicle epicenter here is just amazing. So thank you for your work, and really appreciate it. Now I'm going to put Mark on a spot to chime in a little bit too.
Ben, may I ask you a question? Are you actually an independent consultant now? Is that what you're telling us?
I am. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Okay. Just, I sent you a text, please. I mean, a message. Just reach out to me when you get it, when you at your convenience. Thank you.
Will do. Thanks, Rory.
Okay. So Kirk, since you spoke up, do you want to talk about you?
No, but thank you.
Oh, don't be
no,
shy.
I mean, I Paul's laughing. I do everything to make Paul smile. I'm a semi-retired tech cheerleader who's just, basically promoting all things tech in Arizona and STEM. So, most of you know me, and that's what I do. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, who wants to go next?
I'll go. I got a couple small things popped up last week.
Okay.
So Triad Wireless took on sponsorship of a robotics team out of Scottsdale, one of the high school STEM programs. And my wife just informed me that the General Dynamics also will can provide up to several $1,000s of support for STEM programs that if she's aware of them, so she can apply for those grants. So if anybody has that as an option, please let us know, and I can forward the information to. She works for General Dynamics, and so they do a lot of STEM sponsorships. The one thing though that I'd still like to bring forth that I hope everybody thinks about in the concept of public-private partnerships, we all look at the funding side of the equation. Rarely do we see, and I have reached out to school districts and offered resources from our side, that there are a massive amount of engineers in Arizona through some of the bigger corporations. General Dynamics has, I think, 2,000 engineers in Scottsdale. We've got a couple engineers in our operation, and we've offered to work with schools on different programs or provide technical or other resources to schools. We don't see a lot of partnerships using those volunteer resources from the businesses. So, please consider that there is a lot of experienced people that would like to offer their services to try to guide kids or even run programs. So I don't know the avenue for that, but it is a resource I do not think the schools are fully tapping at this point in terms of public-private partnerships.
Okay, thank you, Rory. Any questions?
So Rory,
go ahead.
So Rory, I'm not a school, I'm a nonprofit, so I would love to get more information because I do STEM education in South Phoenix for schools that don't have it in the South Phoenix area. So a lot of our schools don't have the option. So I would love to learn more about the grants and information like that. I will message you my info. Thank you.
Okay, I'll forward it. Like I said, we took out one. What's interesting is we cover a lot of areas across the state. I've got the guys that are handling the kids that are running the robotics team for us out of Scottsdale. What I'd like to see is those kids mentoring some of the kids in the West Valley that don't have those same opportunities. They don't have the giant technology centers and so forth that are extremely well funded and well run programs. So I don't know, that would take somebody to put together, but if you send me your information, I'll forward it to my wife, and she'd love to talk to you about anything that they can help with. And again, we're available for that also.
Okay,
Hey,
thanks.
Roy, Kurt Busher, and Sharika's program is amazing. The SciTech Institute, which is the foundation arm of the Arizona Technology Council, probably has the single biggest clearinghouse trying to pull all STEM kid agendas with their SciTech Festival that just tours an amazing number of places. But that's a great place too for you and your wife to get involved with the SciTech Institute. Matter of fact, we've got a fundraiser with the Data Center Consortium 7x24 group this Wednesday doing a STEM Top Golf fundraiser for girls in STEM at the Arizona Science Center and the AZ STEM Summit for the SciTech Institute. And it's funny because we run into folks like you too that don't know where to go, try to get connected with all these kids. And those two organizations, the Arizona Science Center and the SciTech Institute, really help connect a lot of folks. And we keep trying to put more and more events on there. One of the things I've been meaning to reach out to you, Sharika, about is because your event kind of falls out of the normal schedule of the SciTech Institute. We're trying to open up the SciTech Institute or the SciTech Institute to continue to connect more folks, including with junior achievement, even though it might be outside the schedule of the SciTech Festival itself. But that's another great organization. Kelly Green over there is just an amazing workforce development professional. They got the Chief Science Officer program, which is an entire mentoring program. And that'd be a great place to go look. And I'll send you Kelly Green's information, Lori.
Oh,
Thank you for
yeah,
saying that.
good.
This is Carla. Thank you for saying that. You beat me to the punch, and I agree with you. And I'm glad that you mentioned Kelly's name, but if you send it to him, I'd be happy to connect you as well, Rory, to Kelly and to Jeremy, because I agree with him. I think this is the perfect place for you all to be engaged in.
Actually, the Chief Operating Officer for the SciTech Festival is going to be participating in this task force. And I think they're particularly beneficial because they have such broad outreach throughout the state. So Cindy, you know, that's a great organization for you and the digital inclusion folks to be able to reach out to them.
And the other thing that I want to make sure that I mention with the SciTech Institute and the CSOs is traditionally we have a very few here in Southern Arizona. Well, Kelly, Jeremy, and I just met, and we've actually expanded that. So we're reaching out to different schools. So you will see a lot more CSOs from Southern Arizona, from Tucson and the Nogales area. So yeah, you will definitely see that engagement. You will start hearing more about the Chief Science Officers.
So Cindy, that's a great resource for you to connect with. Okay, moving on. Anybody else want to volunteer? Don't hear anybody stepping up here. So Jerry, can I put you on the spot? I know that you're, you know, semi-retired here, but you are still very much engaged in cybersecurity. Do you want to just talk a little bit about some of the things happening here in Arizona?
Sure. By the way, I have to admit, I'm embarrassed that I didn't think of InfraGard when the gentleman who I don't remember mentioned the FBI. I was focused on the local FBI office and some kind of program they might be running. I've been a member of InfraGard for years, and I served on their board for about 7 or 8 years.
So Jerry, you want to tell people what InfraGard is?
Oh, yes. It's a public-private partnership between the FBI and various businesses and organizations in the U.S. You got to infragard.org, that's their main site. And actually, I think Phoenix was one of the initial chapters. Mark might know this, if not the original one, I'm not sure. But anyway, they were very early on, and they do quite a number of programs and release a lot of information about how to be careful and all that kind of.
And so, Jerry, if I'm not mistaken, you do have to have a background check in order to become a member of InfraGard.
Yes, that's correct. If anybody knows more detail about this, they can jump in. But yes, they conduct a moderate background check. They don't do anything like gets done for security clearance, but they do a basic background check on everybody that applies. And I've been a member since, gosh, I don't know, 2004, 1, 2, 3, 4, somewhere along in there. And during that time, they did a complete one time years ago, I don't remember when it was, they did a complete redo of all the Phoenix members. Start over, Jerry. The Phoenix FBI office did a complete rerun of the background checks on all the Phoenix members. So yes, that's a very effective organization. So
certainly, Jerry, that there's somebody we definitely want to tap as we move ahead with our cybersecurity. I'm also a member of InfraGard. I haven't been participating in quite a few years, but they do have a newsletter that comes out pretty frequently about threats, particularly with what's happening internationally at the moment. A lot of that information you can't share except to other members of InfraGard. So if you want to know a lot about what's happening, you can apply to become a member of InfraGard.
Now the process is pretty straightforward. You can just go out to infragard.org, and the application process is out there for those who are not members.
That's infra, INFRA
Yes.
G-A-R-D, I
G-A-R-D.
believe.
No, U, G-A-R-D. So.
Okay.
Anyway, yes, that's it, I think, for InfraGard. Again, I was embarrassed because I was so focused on the local office. I didn't even think of InfraGard, thanks to Mark for jumping in there, and telling us. So,
And then there's a number of other security organizations here in Arizona too, Jerry.
oh yeah, the Arizona Cyber Threat Response Alliance, which you mentioned, ACRA, which Frank Grimmelin runs. And he was very active in InfraGard in the early days when I was. And then
There's also the Arizona, the Southwest Cybersecurity Forum that meets the first Monday evening of every month.
thank you, Mark. I was reading minds. I was just about ready to mention that. Yes, SWCSF is quite a good organization. They're not meeting tonight, but because they're reorganizing the way they do their meetings. And the next meeting will be the first Monday night in June. So, and they always have good programs, and they usually do hybrid. Although they usually do Zoom, but they've started doing hybrid in the last couple of meetings. So, and they have speakers similar to what we do here. They'll bring in a person or persons that are, experts on a particular subject related to cybersecurity, and they will present.
So we have a lot of resources regarding cybersecurity here in Arizona. And of course, we want to tap that to be able to support, again, as we roll out connectivity and devices to all these folks. A lot of those organizations, Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, have been focused primarily on IT and the cybersecurity professionals versus the general public, but they do have a lot of professionals that we may be able to tap into.
That is exactly correct, Steve.
Okay. Anybody else want to share this morning?
I
Yeah,
have a
Mom.
question for.
Yeah, Mama.
Thanks. I have a question for Jerry. Jerry, in your discussions nationally with other InfraGard type organizations, has there ever been a discussion about E-rate and cybersecurity? Because every year they revise, FCC revises the list of services and products that are eligible for E-rate. And although we've been crying our voices hoarse about including some funds for cybersecurity, they don't, but they expect us to keep the kids safe and keep our patrons safe using our own funds, using the little funds that the libraries and schools may have to do this. But this has become, and it's becoming a larger issue than it was some time ago, because kids are learning to hack through their access to the school portals, and they're able to do it almost, I want to say, effortlessly. So just want to know if there's been any discussion. The next eligible services list is likely to come up by September this year. And they do have a little time for comments before they finalize it around October, November timeframe. So, yeah.
Okay, if I understand your question, no, I have not. Well, I have to admit, perhaps embarrassingly, that I'd never even heard of E-rate until I met you, Mala. So, in meetings with in meetings with this group and ADIC meetings, that's my first encounter of this thing called E-rate.
That makes 42 of us, Jerry.
What? No. So, I'm going, well, this is something I didn't know anything about, but fortunately I have the #1 expert in the state of Arizona on that topic to talk to. So anyway, yeah, no. So I guess the answer to your question, as I understood it, is probably no. I had never heard that topic raised in any meeting I was in. So,
So Mala, again, next week when Ryan participates with us and from Arizona Homeland Security, again, that was part of the conversation I had with him about, and I do believe, and again, I will defer to him to clarify this, but I do believe that the initiative that they have going on, their Cyber Command, supports schools, libraries, and other government entities. But I also had talked with him about, can we find a way to address the needs of all these nonprofit groups that we're working with, and ultimately the end users out there that we've talked about, that we're connecting at this point.
Right, and to pay for it, you know, because
Yeah,
it's,
exactly.
you know, I would hesitate if E-rate was running short of funds and if we were like cutting it close. But I know that every year the funds that have been approved are not getting fully utilized, either because they estimate more than they finally are billed, and also because the reviewers do not accept all applications. So there is always funds left over, and the rollover funds are rolled over 2-3 years together, are rolled over to be utilized later. Why can't we support this important, very important eligible, as service to be eligible?
Well, again, Mala, I think that, again, my conversation with Ryan, that I think he's very interested in exploring, one, are there funds already available through Homeland Security that we might be able to tap into? And then secondly, how do we move ahead in addressing? So we may have to depend on state and our local funding to be able to address this issue. And so I think that, at least in my estimation, for us to now move ahead with addressing this issue is critical.
It is, and I agree with you. If there are funds available, it should be channeled through the E-rate program. And the reason is because there are so many, all schools and libraries apply for E-rate support, and they don't want to apply for another program to get a portion of that money for security.
Yeah. So I don't know what the details are. And again, we'll be able to hear this both possibly from Kelly next week, as well as from Ryan about the partnership that they already have with the Arizona Department of Education. Okay, anybody have anything, anybody else want to share this morning? I think we're out of time. I did see in the chat several people who wanted to help with the cybersecurity initiative. So I will be following up, and Carla, you and I definitely need to have a conversation.
Sounds good, Steve. I'll send you an email with a few dates that will work for, to see what will work for us.
Sounds good. Okay, is there anything else anybody else wants to share? Let's see if there's anything in the chat that I missed. Anything else? Okay, so maybe it was Kelly Kirk that I met. I can't remember who that was, but I've added her to our email list and was interested in what we're doing. And I think I know you're well connected with them, that we should look at how we can use that as a resource for our digital inclusion initiatives. And with that, if nobody else has anything else, I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to stop the recording, and we're going to kibitz for anybody who wants to stay online.